My travels around Greece as part of this odyssey have taken me from the heart of the nation, Athens, and throughout several of the major island groups. We've cruised around the coast of the Peloponnese and travelled amongst the Ionian Islands. Then we made our way across to the northern Aegean before spending time exploring the hidden gems of the western Cycladic. And man, was it beautiful. This series sees us steering Miazoi further eastward and into the Dodecanese. This episode sees me on the island of Pátmos, one of the most important locations in the Christian world. It's a place of pilgrimage for thousands of people from across the planet. Beyond the religious importance, there's fantastic beaches, amazing food, and an atmosphere that draws you in. From there, I'm making a quick dash across to 3 barely inhabited islands to the east. Hidden gems not often explored by tourists. No doubt you'll be adding them to your wish list. Here we stand on this rock of Kallikatsu. This rock that has risen out of the sea, much like all of Pátmos. Pátmos is actually a caldera of a volcano that was created 2 million years ago. But we're not here for that. We're here for what's up there. This island is famous in the Greek Orthodox religion. It's one of 3. There's Mount Athos, Constantinople, and the holy island of Pátmos. But in the Christian world, Pátmos ranks much, much higher because John the theologian, St. John, was banished here by the Roman emperor for his Christian belief in 96 AD. It's here that he wrote the book of Revelations. It's here that the last chapter of the Bible was written. Pilgrims come from all over the world to come here. And I'm here right now. I'm so excited. I'm going up right now. Pátmos is a tiny island, only 34 square kilometres in size. Sitting in the far north of the Dodecanese island group, just below Funi, with Lipsi to the east. In summer, there's around 3,000 people living here, with tourists making the main port a busy hub. However, the numbers drop quite a lot in the winter months, as the holiday homes empty and people head back to the bigger cities for work. It's this small footprint and tiny populace that makes Pátmos such a quaint place to visit. The vast majority of tourists come here for just a few days to see the famed monastery and cave of St. John. But there's so much more to the island than that. One of the positives for those who want to dig a little deeper and get a more complete picture of Pátmos is that the rest of the place is like taking a step back in time, relatively free of the travelling masses. Now, there's only 3,000 residents here in Pátmos, but like 10 or 20 times that in tourism, which is not really a lot for a Greek island. But you know where they come? Up there, up to see the monastery, the cave. But there's a whole lot of other things to see as well. I'm looking forward to it. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. It's one of the most powerful and haunting quotes from the book of Revelations. It's hard to believe that St. John had his dark epiphanies of mankind's demise while in such a beautiful part of the world. He was the youngest apostle, lived longest, and passed away last at the ripe old age of 96. To tell me more about Pátmos, I met with Andonis, a long-time local who has written extensively about the island. Such is his passion for the place that despite having travelled the world, he hasn't found a spot he'd rather spend his life in. Andoni, I hear that the Patmian houses are the best in the Aegean, and looking at them, I can see that that is true. But why is this so? Why are they so beautiful over and above the rest of the islands?
The story began in the year 1453, just before the downfall of Constantinople, the queen of the cities. About 100 families, Byzantine families with very high standards of culture and education, fled the city and came here, forming the neighborhood around this square. Now we are at the core of this settlement. Why they did so? Because they knew that they are going to be protected, living next to the walls of a protected monastery.
Can we go and have a look at some of these houses?
Yes,
Let's go.
Of course.
Typically, Greek monasteries are built far from towns, perched on mountaintops. After all, monks want sanctuaries so they can dedicate their time to studying the Lord's Word. In the case of the monastery of St. John, 2 towns were built up around its walls. This is thanks to it holding such a high place in the Christian world, and as a consequence, being protected by the power of Rome. Pilgrims that were under the tyranny of the Ottoman Empire could find refuge around the monastery as long as they supported the monks. Had this not been such a holy place, chances are there never would have been such a big settlement here. So Alatina was basically Byzantine families from Constantinople.
Exactly. But also, in 1669, we have another settlement. Some Cretan families, as a result of the war between the Ottomans and the Venetians, Cretan families with also high standards of culture and education, fled the island of Crete and came here, forming their neighborhood east of the walls.
Right.
The so-called area Kritika, around the square that now we are heading on.
Let's go.
Having been settled by families that were fleeing war and starting new lives, it created a certain energy and passion within the townspeople. They'd come with little, seeking safety, and surrounded by others in a similar predicament. It bonded the community together, which in turn helped the island to eventually prosper.
So it's about 1700, there's 100 families from Constantinople, there's 50 families from Crete, and they created the Pátmian school, which I understand is an awesome school.
The Pátmian school, the so-called University of Archipelago, was founded in 1713, close to the Cave of the Apocalypse, and played a very significant role preparing a new generation, educated what generation, which plays very significant role in the Greek uprising. Think about that the founder of the Revolutionary Society of Friends, Φιλική Εταιρεία, was scholar of this school, and also 33 Pátmians, 33 locals, became member of this secret society, which prepared the Greek uprising against the Ottomans.
Wow. Wow.
These 150 wealthy and educated families that settled here started an intellectual revolution on the island, which still exists today. Some of Greece's greatest writers and politicians originate from here, and the Pátmian school is considered one of the best in the country. This prosperity and knowledge is reflected in the beautiful architecture throughout the two towns. You don't have to be a builder like me to appreciate what they've created.
Every morning, Captain and Kyriako enjoy their peaceful cup of coffee before everybody gets up. They know the best places on every island. Where are you going today?
Today we're going to drink coffee in one very famous place that they make Greek coffee with a proper and traditional way.
Awesome.
So here we are, Houston Cafe.
Fantastic. Houston? Houston Cafe. Houston Cafe. Wow.
Καλημέρα, Αλέξη.
Καλημέρα, καλημέρα.
Τι κάνεις?
Τι κάνουμε?
Καλά.
Ωραία.
Καλημέρα. Good to meet you. Alex, is it?
Yeah, Alex,
How are
nice
you?
to meet you.
Αλέξη, θα μας κάνεις δύο καφεδάκια.
Εννοείται.
Ένα μέτριο διπλό και ένα μονοσκέτο.
Τέλεια, εννοείται.
So we're going to have some Greek coffee now. Captain's just ordered a double with a little bit of sugar in it for me and a single for him without any sugar in it. Now this is the traditional Greek coffee. It's actually originated in Turkey, but I think it's, Alex, what sort of, is Arabica coffee?
Yes, it's Arabic coffee, and it started from Arabic. Now we call it Ellinikos.
Ellinikos, Greek coffee. It's Greek coffee. Now it's Greek coffee, but it's traditionally that's where it comes from. And what sort of mix are you using there of coffee?
Here it's from Brazil. The coffee we use here to this shop, it's from Brazil and Guatemala.
Fantastic.
It's a blended coffee.
Okay. And I see that there's sand here, and my understanding, στο άμμο το πάμε, έτσι?
Ναι, το πιάνω στην άμμο.
So what he does, you're going to put it in the sand now?
Yes, this is the traditional machine of Greek coffee,
Yep.
and I'm going now to put the coffee to the hot sand,
Okay.
which is in 300 degrees of Celsius.
300 degrees?
Yes.
Oh, and so it gets around the
Yes.
biriki, as we say.
This is a bricky.
Yeah, the little pot, and it's consistent heat all the way around. Awesome.
The point of this is that it's cooked very, very slowly.
Right,
So
okay.
this is the reason of better taste of the Greek coffee.
So tell me, Houston Cafe, what's the story there, man?
Yes, it's a strange story. It's a family story. Here is the first owner of the Houston Cafe.
Right.
Who was in Houston later in 1930.
Right.
Due to earn some money, he returned to Pátmos, to
Yes.
his island. He brought this place and he opened it. This is the first coffee place in Pátmos Island.
And he named it after the place he made some money in.
Yeah,
So he
yes.
must have loved Houston in America.
Yes. That's the reason, because there he made the money in order to do this business.
Fantastic.
So he came and with his four children
Yep.
ran this place since 2011.
Now, I've heard that your coffee here is very, very good. Now, Captain wouldn't tell me if it wasn't, right?
Okay.
So
you will take it by your own.
you've got a lot of expectations to live up to, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go and sit down now
Okay.
and wait for this awesome coffee, okay?
Okay,
Κάτσουμε.
okay. Perfect.
Πάμε να κάτσουμε, ναι.
It's awesome. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you. Where's the paximadi? There's no paximadi.
Επειδή σε ξέρω, I bought you some paximadi.
I need a paximadi with my coffee. A biscuit or a kuluri with my coffee. Thank you, Yanni. Because sometimes they don't serve the biscuit. And in my view, you need the biscuit to dunk the Greek coffee. Look at that. See that stuff on top? That's kaimaki, and it's very, very important if you've got kaimaki, that surface light brown layer. It looks like a chocolatey layer. It's very, very important. You know if there's kaimaki, it's an awesome coffee. Good coffee, Alex. Excellent work. Anyway, can I have one? Yep. Let's see. Let's test it. Awesome. Oh, wonderful. Now, Greek coffee is not as popular as it used to be in Greece, but it's still drunk a fair bit. In a diplo, in a double Greek coffee, there's about 180 milligrams of caffeine. In a single that Captain's having, there's 90 milligrams of caffeine. But let me tell you, if you want to jumpstart, this is the best stuff. And it's actually better for you than normal coffee because they say, there's been recent studies, that it's good for your cardiovascular system. The people from Ikaria, who are part of the blue zone that live to 100, they have one of these every day. Every morning they wake up with one of these. So I'm following suit and seeing if I can also increase my age by drinking Greek coffee. Ελληνικό καφέ. Και Γιάννη, στην γεια σου, έτσι.
Γεια μας.
Γεια μας. Awesome.
The coffee may not increase my lifespan, but it certainly got the heart rate up. I'm full of energy at the best of times, let alone after one of those heart starters. The camera crew had a hard time keeping up with me for the rest of the day.
It's a long walk up to the monastery from the port, and I suggest you drive. But if you can, I think the walk is the better. Now, I'm blessed to be meeting Nicholas, who's got more degrees than you could poke a stick at, but the important one being his theological academics. Now, you could be mistaken thinking that this is a castle. Well, it's built like one because they had to protect themselves from the pirates. But it's a monastery.
Pirates had little regard for the protection afforded by Rome. They're opportunists, so like other island monasteries, this place needed to fend for itself. It has stood the test of time, a result of having been built so well with thick stone walls. Millions of people would have walked this same path, yet the condition of the centuries-old structure has weathered little. The towering walls, intricate columns and pebbled walkway are awe-inspiring, fitting for a place that's so spiritual and of such religious importance. Yet despite its grandeur, there's an inviting feel to it. You're drawn to the top to explore what lies ahead, and when you eventually get to the end of the path, you're well and truly rewarded for your efforts.
Nico, look at where we are. We can see all of the northern Dodecanese islands. We're up high. It's just a magnificent spot. I feel that spiritualness. I mean, this is one of the most important spots for Christianity.
It is indeed. The island of Pátmos is characterized as the Jerusalem of the Aegean Sea. Visiting Pátmos means you visit a cave where John received the revelation. He saw Jesus Christ inside. That's why the cave is characterized as the Mount Sinai of Europe.
Wow.
You see also a monastery on top, a monastery of continuous spiritual life of 931 years. It's an amazing place.
It is an amazing place. So where would it rank in the world of Christianity?
Let's say Jerusalem, the second Jerusalem, the Jerusalem
So
of the
it's
Aegean
top 2 or 3?
Of course, of course.
And we're right at the top of it. And it's beautiful. I mean, you don't have to be Christian to come up here and feel the spiritualness see this beautiful view, this fortress that's a monastery. There's a bit of irony in it, but it's fantastic. I love this place. I reckon it's awesome.
It's a divinely touched island, generally.
Yes, it's awesome. Look at that view.
A divinely touched island. I couldn't have put it better myself. From here I could see all the surrounding landmasses. Lipsi, Leros, Galimnos, Samos, Furni, Ikaria and even Turkey. This 360-degree view meant the monks could see any approaching vessels, and with heavy fortifications and embrasures atop every wall, the monastery was well protected against potential invaders. One person that has called the monastery home longer than any other is Father Ευθύμιος. He's been living here for 70 years and one of the oldest monks in residence. For someone that's 95 years old, man, he looks good. I was hoping he might let me in on the secret of longevity.
Φαίνεσαι τόσο καλός. Τι κάνεις εσύ? He looks so good. Τι κάνεις εσύ να φαίνεσαι τόσο καλός? Τι τρως, τι γυμνάζεσαι?
Προσέχω πολύ τη ζωή, την προσέχω πολύ.
Ναι.
Έχω μια τακτική, έχω ένα πρόγραμμα στη ζωή.
Τι είναι η πρόγραμμα αυτή?
Θέλω να εργάζομαι, να κινούμαι. Όσο μπορώ βέβαια.
Ναι.
Ανάλογα με τις δυνάμεις μου, θέλω να κινούμαι. Κάτι να κάνω και στο φαγητό προσέχω, όχι πολύ φαγητό.
Όχι πολύ, not a lot to eat.
Όχι πολύ φαγητό.
Πόσες φορές τρως την ημέρα?
Το πρωινό μου.
Ναι.
Τον καφέ μου.
Ναι.
Τον καφέ μου. Μέχρι το μεσημέρι τίποτα.
Τίποτα. Μόνο το καφέ?
Ναι, τίποτα. Το μεσημέρι θα φάω μια κανονική μερίδα. Το φαγητό μου.
Μπράβο. Και...
Μετά από το μεσημέρι μέχρι το βράδυ τίποτα.
Τίποτα.
Το καλοκαίρι μόνο νερό πολύ.
Ναι.
Νερό πολύ.
Και το βράδυ τι τρως?
Το βράδυ λίγο φαγητό, ελαφρό.
Ναι.
Ελαφρό φαγητό.
Και περπατάς πολύ?
Περπατάω βέβαια.
Κάθε μέρα?
Κάθε μέρα.
Ναι.
Κάθε μέρα.
After 900 years, you'd expect the monastery to have aged. But outside of prayer and study times, the monks work continuously on the upkeep of the place. It's simply stunning. But perhaps the most impressive thing I saw while here was the museum. It's full of important artifacts, some of which must be priceless.
Nicholas, you have some wonderful pieces in this magnificent museum.
Yes, of course. There is one El Greco over there. There is also the Purple Codex of the 6th century Anno Domini, and there is also the deed of the monastery of the 11th century.
Wow. So this is the deed.
Yes, this is the deed. This is the official contract between the founder of the monastery, Christodoulos, and the Emperor of Constantinople, Alexios Komnenos I. This document says, more or less, that the whole island of Pátmos, plus some lovely islets around Pátmos, belong to the monastery of John. Material is parchment, language is Greek, it's the lower case, and it is dating back from the 11th century, Anno Domini.
Wow. Nicholas, tell us about this piece. It's 6th century AD.
6th century AD, this is my favorite, one of the oldest copies of the Gospel of Mark. Mark, the evangelist, the apostle, the disciple of Peter, the apostle, which is dating back from the 6th century Anno Domini. Material, parchment, language Greek, and it is called the Purple Codex. Specialists say that these two pages here refer to one miracle of Jesus Christ, the one with the possessed man, the man with the bad spirit inside him.
Awesome, awesome stuff. I can't believe it's right in front of us.
Yes.
The collection inside the Vestry Museum is of global significance. Within the walls are manuscripts, silverware, mosaics, icons and more. It's like taking a walk through a timeline of Christian history. One of the many highlights on display is an icon of Jesus in chains, believed to have been painted by El Greco. It's a powerful work that stirs the emotions. While the museum is open to the public, 2 floors below in the bowels of the monastery is the library. It's only accessible to scholars and theological academics. I was blessed to be invited into this space, an experience I'll never forget.
Yanni, how many books in the library right now?
We have over 1,000 manuscripts, 100 books, and over 5,000 printed books.
Wow, so when you say manuscripts, we're talking really old books basically, aren't we?
Exactly. For example, we have a gospel book. It's the oldest handwritten book of the monastery,
Yep.
from 6th century.
Can we have a look? Such a beautiful piece. This is it here. Now, what is that made of?
From vellum.
Vellum, this is like a skin of an animal, is it?
Very, very thin.
So for a book like this, how many animals are in this book?
You can imagine how many goats or
What,
sheep.
10, 20?
How many? No.
100?
100.
Wow, just for a book, amazing.
It's hard to imagine that something so delicate has managed to survive 1,500 years and be in such good condition. Today it's housed in a climate-controlled room, away from harmful UV rays and prying hands. But through the centuries it would have been exposed to all sorts of threats, including invaders that did their best to destroy the Christian faith in Greece. The monks have always been devoted to the protection and restoration of religious works. In the present day, Yanni and his dedicated team spend their lives painstakingly toiling away at preserving the texts in the library. This particular work is an early 16th century Venetian print, and while it looks to be in disrepair, Yanni assures me they're able to bring it back to life. He went on to show me examples of how good their restoration efforts are at cleaning away mould and wormholes and rebinding the books so they look similar to their original state and are protected for centuries to come.
This first folios.
So this is
The new part of.
This is all restoration.
You need time to
Of course.
do some.
How long would it take to do one book?
Maybe months.
There are numerous books within the library archives that are hidden away, awaiting Yanni and his team's expertise. This type of work is the job of skilled artisans. And with so many in the collection, it's likely to be a multi-generational effort.
So, Panagiotis, the exiled by the Romans son of Zebedee and Salome, John the Apostle, received the book of Revelation in this particular spot, and actually on this flat inclination where this book is
Right
on.
here.
Yes, John dictated the book to his disciple Prochorus. John dictated the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, the 7 vials to this disciple whose name was Prochorus, because these visions actually are the book of the Revelation.
This is the last chapter of the
Correct,
Bible.
the 27th book of the corpus of the New Testament, the last book of the Bible.
In this cave.
In this
And
particular
this is
volcanic
2,000 years ago.
95 AD, at the end of the 1st century,
Wow.
early Christian times in historical terms.
Watching as visitors came in and out of the cave, it was clear the impact that standing in such a place can have. People from across the world would enter in wonder. Greeks, Germans, Americans, Japanese, pilgrims from every corner of the globe. And while they may all have different cultures and live thousands of miles apart, this important work connects them. And upon leaving the cave, they're all in a state of spiritual high. Looking down from the monastery, you can't help but see the group of windmills perched on the hillside. They're a common sight on many Greek islands, but the difference here is that these ones are in pristine condition, looking like they were built yesterday.
So, Corinne, I don't think I've ever seen a windmill in the condition this one's in. It's fully working, isn't it?
Yes.
Fully working. And when was it refurbished?
It was done in 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
How many are there? 4.
We have 3 windmills,
3 windmills.
but only this one has the whole mechanism to grind.
All right.
The other one, they are just we are just opening them for aesthetic reason,
Okay.
which is very nice up on
So
the-
we're going to grind today, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I'm
That's
looking
right.
forward to it. This windmill actually works. I don't think there is a windmill I've seen in Greece that is in condition this one is in.
Yes, it's quite unique. We have one in Karpathos, I think, very old
But not
one.
like this.
No, not renovated.
Yes.
No.
So who refurbished this?
Mr. Pictet, Charles Pictet, is a Swiss resident,
Yeah.
owner of a Swiss bank.
Yep.
He's a sailor,
Yep.
and he spent all his life with his kids and wife sailing in the Aegean Sea. And he wanted to say thank you, Greece, for all the magnificent holidays I spent here. And he thought how to, let's say, give something who has significance with wind,
Yep.
sails, beauty of Greece. And
Yeah.
we thought, these windmills up there, maybe we could
What a
do
smart
something.
man.
It was a
Wow.
great project.
Fantastic, yes.
Yeah. The wheat, this
Yeah.
is wheat from Samos, totally biological,
Organic.
organic. Yeah.
And this is the monastery's wheat.
Yes, all the 3 windmills here, they belong to the monastery. And when they heard that we are grinding, they
Yes.
said, oh, we have some properties in Samos. Let's see what we can do. And they started to grow wheat.
Wow.
This
So-
kind of very beautiful, you see,
Yes.
it's very nice color. And now we have people working in Samos, and
Wow.
they have really beautiful properties now.
And the wheat looks so good. Can I just
Yes.
have another look at it? Look at
You
that. That
smell?
looks
You
fan-
smell it? It's really nice.
Oh, just look at that wheat. That is absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
Can I take some flour with me?
Yes, of course.
Fantastic. I'll get Giddy up to cook something for us. So I better take
I
this
think
up.
it's quite
it's a bit heavy. I'll take
heavy.
it. Oh, jeez.
Can you?
Yeah.
You'll manage?
I just
All right,
mentioned Jesus'
let's
name
go.
in vain, but I shouldn't have done that. But it's okay. Here we go.
Take care. The steps are
okay.
very high.
Oh,
May I help you?
no, it's okay. I got it. I got it.
All right. Perfect. I'm going to take you as a miller.
Okay. So what happens
Great. So, basically, it's quite easy. You see, when we are going to open the sails, you have this big shaft who will take all this huge wheel to turn. And this wheel will make this to turn. And that's the time we open here a little bit.
okay.
And you see?
now? I go, no. Let's leave them down
Very
there. Let's leave them down there.
Very slowly the wheat.
And there is a
will
stone
drop.
underneath here.
There are two stones.
Two stones?
Two stones. The one on the top of the other. The down stone is sleeping stone. It
Right.
doesn't work. The other one is working. So when they turn, the one on top of the other, the wheat that we put inside here
Yep.
will slowly goes to the extremity.
Right,
and
okay.
when each grain arrived at the extremity, it's flour.
Well, let's go and start the mill.
Okay, let's
Okay.
go.
Below this timber cover is the massive circular stone block that must be at least a ton or two. The power required to make it spin is immense, and in preparing the wind vanes, you get a sense of the energy required to turn that heavy stone. It's not an easy job.
I don't know if I want to hold this anymore. I'm going to walk away because this thing is going to go off. That's enough, isn't it?
Let's see.
Look at the power of the wind. This is a heavy machine.
Yeah.
And we only have unfurled a little bit of the sail.
Yes, and all of this to grind a very small piece of wheat.
Yes.
Yeah. So now you have the result. You see?
Okay.
You see the flour?
So the wind stopped. Oh, it's going to start again.
Yeah.
And this is the flour. Can I have a look?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Smell
look
it?
at that. Look at that. Look at the flour.
Strong flour.
Oh, hang on a second. Look at this. Look at this. Now, I don't think I've smelt flour like that since I was a little boy.
Yes.
And that was a long time ago. Wow.
So this is what is going out from the stones.
Right.
All together. Okay.
Oh, that's everything, right?
Everything together. So
Right.
so if we see by hand, you have the bran here,
The bran, and you've got the flour.
and this is the flour.
So this is the bran here.
Yeah.
What do you do with the bran?
The bran is the envelopes of the grain, and this is to feed the animals.
Feed the chickens and
Chicken
and this is to
pork
make my pie.
yes, pie, bread, whatever.
Well, you know what, Corinne? I'm going to go and make some pie now. We're going to get some of this flour and I'm going to take it back
Okay.
to Kiriako, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. This
You're
has been
welcome.
fantastic. I
It was a
love this.
pleasure.
Having seen these windmills over the years, it was awesome to step inside an operational one and see how it works. But what impressed me most about the whole experience was the story of the Swiss benefactor that restored it. Having loved the Greek island so much, he felt that he had to give back. What a great story. As I mentioned earlier, your average tourist comes to Patmos to see the religious sites. Ferries come into the port and visitors head straight to the monastery, This leaves the rest of the island relatively peaceful, so you can explore the countless bays and beaches, free of any crowds. Other than a few yachts and fishing boats, there's usually little else. This particular beach is probably the busiest you'll come across.
This holy island of Patmos is not known for its beaches, but let me let you in on a secret. It's got plenty of them and they're awesome. This beach of Agriolivadi meaning wild meadow, named after the area behind us. It's absolutely magnificent and the water just a nice temperature because it's shallow here. As a result, it warms up better. There's families, kids can't shut up behind me. I tell you, they're having such a good time. And we're headed to this really groovy beach now called Campos. And there's some nice bars there. We'll check it out. See you soon.
The majority of beach dwellers here are Greeks. The few foreigners you'll find all share a common denominator in that they've typically been to Patmos numerous times. You see, once you've been here and gone beyond the tourist hotspots, you quickly fall in love with the place. And like these families, you'll feel at home and start to treat the island like your own backyard. On this trip, I met several people, including 3 Norwegian women who have been travelling here with their friends and relatives for many years. It's a story you'll hear over and over when chatting to tourists. They rarely visit just once.
35 years. When did you come in? You were 5 years old when you first came.
Oh yes,
Yes.
sure, yes.
What keeps bringing you back?
It's very quiet island,
Right, quiet
and
island.
you can see the local people
Yes.
and live like a local people.
And you like the local people, good
Yes,
people?
Yes, yes.
What is it about the local people that you like?
They're friendly
Friendly?
and they make good food.
Yeah, it's
Yeah?
nice food.
Good food.
Oh,
I know good food. I know.
Honest.
Yes?
If you forget something someplace, you always get it back.
Wanting to live like a local is the ultimate compliment a tourist can give a destination. It proves how good the place is beyond the landmarks. In the case of those lovely ladies, it was the people that made Patmos so special. For me, it's a little bit of everything. I love the history and religious significance. Then there's the fantastic food that all the small cafes and taverns serve up. Next, you've got the beaches. The island has a rugged coastline that's dotted with alcoves, from remote pebbled shores to long stretches of fine sand, where you can hire a deck chair and enjoy a cold drink. There's a beach for every fancy. But with the Norwegian women I spoke to earlier, it's the locals that complete the picture. They're a welcoming bunch, hospitable, and always willing to give you some tips on what to see and do. So if you're the type of traveller that just wants to sit on the beach and watch the passing scenery, you can happily do exactly that. But to get the most out of what Patmos has to offer, I encourage you to think a little wider and embrace the myriad of things available to the inquisitive tourist. Pop on the hiking shoes and walk to one of those mountaintops. Jump on a scenic cruise and see some of the lesser-known places. Visit the museums or try the local delicacies. You'll be surprised at just how much there is to this tiny island. One of the discoveries I made while here was a local boat building business owned by 2 brothers with a passion for the sea and shaping timber. Despite Greece's long history with shipbuilding, it's a dying art in the islands of the Aegean, where it once thrived. As boats moved from being made of timber and grew in scale using steel instead of wood, the small shipyards were unable to compete or even transition to the new requirements of buyers. Bucking the trend of closures, these 2 carpenters have established a thriving business on an island that was never known for boat building, and some of the vessels they make are beautiful.
Sozo, these are all handmade.
Yes.
Everything. Even this kayak here is handmade.
Yes.
You make kayaks too. Anything.
We can do everything about the wood, let's say.
Ah, it's just so beautiful.
This is for my nephew.
For your nephew?
Yes.
He's a lucky boy. Let's keep going. He's a lucky boy.
Once you meet Sozo and his brother and take a look at their work, it quickly becomes clear why their books are full. I've met plenty of carpenters and been to many joinery factories. The work these guys do is of a standard I rarely see. Their eye for detail and pride in their workmanship is impeccable.
This takes you a year to build, 1 year.
Yes.
Oh, look at the lines. Fantastic.
It's a handmade boat, let's say.
Handmade, it's handmade.
Yeah. We build with a meraki. We love it, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the only way for you have a...
This is your fun.
Yes. Okay.
This is your
exactly.
fun.
To have a boat like this, you need to be with emotion, let's say.
Actually, all what you see is by eyes. It's piece by piece and centimeter by centimeter, let's say.
Wow.
To make the form, to make the curve, to make it the... We build it and we change. We build it and we change to make it the best good looking, let's say.
It's so we got to go before I buy this bike. And my wife tells me, you know, I'm going to have to sell a house. You know?
From designing these bespoke luxury craft and selecting the right lengths of mahogany, to tooling the hull and piecing everything together, it's a painstaking process. Unfortunately, craftsmen like these are slowly being lost. But thanks to Sozo and his brother, a new generation of boat builders are being trained. The hope is that they'll keep this industry alive, passing their knowledge on to others in the future. Leaving Patmos, we had a whirlwind tour of 3 islands that don't often get mentioned. As much as I would have loved to have spent more time on each of them, I had to make a few sacrifices so I could properly explore some other islands later in the trip.
To the east of Patmos and only a stone's throw is this beautiful archipelago. It's called Archios or Arki, and this island of Marathi, the smaller of the 2 inhabited islands. Now, Marathi is only 1 square kilometre, and there are only 2 families that live here, basically 5 people. That taverna and that taverna behind you. 5 people live on this island. They collect rainwater and they get power from Archios. It's got to be one of the smallest inhabited islands that I've been to, but here, all these private yachts come in and enjoy this wonderful blue water. I don't know what it is, but I feel at home here. No hustle, no bustle. Maybe it's just too quiet for me.
I love my peaceful islands, but when you've got a young son and a boat full of guests to entertain, sometimes you need a little bit of action. Mind you, a few days here would have been nice.
It's just too good to be walking and not swimming. But so many people say to me, stop taking your clothes off and getting in the water, so I'm not getting in the water. I'm going to get in the water when the camera stops anyway.
The taverns here are popular with yachties, who use a small protected harbour for shelter or as a brief stopover. But you don't need your own boat to visit. There are water taxis that will transfer you across from any of the larger surrounding islands, including our next stop, Elkύi.
In the centre of this majestic archipelago is the island of Elkύi. Now, only 40 people live here. There's 2 horses, a couple of pigs, and quite a few goats. 3 tavernas, a cafeteria. There is no council, there are no police, there are no port police. But what's wonderful is there's 1 teacher for 1 kid. You can do whatever you want on this island, but they don't. These are just good people. And all you do here is just relax and enjoy the beautiful Aegean. I tell you what, I could stay here for a long time. It's beautiful. Ah, that's the sun. Fantastic.
In a place like Elkύi, it's easy to get to know the locals like Manolis. He owns one of the taverns and spent all his life here. Incidentally, he's the brother of Yanni, the librarian I met a few days ago. It's a small world, eh?
My captain, he came here and he says, I really like this island. He said, I prefer it to Patmos.
Yeah, for the first moment, everybody loves this place.
Everybody loves this place. It's only 40 people. What's going to happen in 20 years' time? Do you think it will grow?
No.
It won't, eh?
No.
It's hard to sustain it, isn't it?
Yes, it's hard, but slowly, year by year, we've been less and less.
Less and less?
Yes, and then no families to get married, to make children, to hope that in the future is come again. Now, it's an island who, it's not for young people, but middle and after the age, they come.
They come,
when
yeah.
they realize what is going on.
It's a beautiful
here,
island. It's relaxed.
They come to peace for the rest of them life.
Elkύi might be small, but there's a heck of a big ferry that serves it. It's one of the things I like about Greece. Knowing that these little islands often can't afford such facilities, the Greek government subsidises ticket costs. And there are other amenities they support, like power generation, water production, schooling, and the list goes on. Without these subsidies, places like Elkύi wouldn't survive. It would enter the long list of uninhabited land masses across the Mediterranean that people have been forced to abandon. Another example where this government support is occurring is further to the east on the island of Agathonisi. Except here, thanks to it being much larger, the cost per capita for infrastructure is far higher. However, they're quite an independent bunch and have done a lot to be self-sustained.
For me, Agathonisi is one of the reasons why Greece is the quiet achiever of the European Union. This island of 14 square kilometres has only 100 inhabitants, and yet it's got a great road system. They make their own power, they make their own water. The school has 8 kids and 7 teachers. Now, this is supposed to be the poor country, and yet look at what they've done for a small island like this. Now, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of Agathonisi. I only came here because the goats outnumber the people 20-1, and the goats are absolutely awesome, and Irenaeus loves the goat here. I still wave the flag for this country because I have the DNA, and yet the water here in Agathonisi is comparable to the best beaches in Greece, and finishing it off is always good with a swim. See you soon.
We're probably going to get a few complaints about my bathers, but hey, I'll do whatever it takes to draw some attention to Greece. But back to that comment I made about Agathonisi not being a place I like to visit. Don't get me wrong, I love the people and do enjoy my time here, but it's just so far out of the way, and there are plenty of other places I prefer to spend my holidays in. This was actually my second visit. The first time I came was because I was told the goat here is the tastiest in the Aegean. When I arrived, a local farmer was waiting at the port for me and invited my family for dinner. He then lent me his motorbike so I could explore the island. To top it all off, when we were leaving the next day, he rushed to the boat to give Helen some fresh cheese. I'll never forget that hospitality.
We've been filming 12-hour days for 3 weeks, and today it's our day off in this beautiful island of Elkύi. This is Tiganakia, and we're going to have some fun testing out our new toy.
Coming to this remote part of the country was the breath of fresh air the production team and I needed. It had been a busy few weeks with long days in the summer heat. It might sound like the dream job, but they're lugging gear around from the early hours to late in the evening, and I'm always keeping them busy. So spending a day enjoying the beautiful scenery and a swim in paradise was the perfect reward. Mind you, I opted for something a little more exciting than a swim, and the team ended up working anyway. Such is their dedication. They were happy to forgo time in the water to get some shots of me having a little fun. I did eventually let them have a go too. In the next episode, the good times continue as I head to the island of Furni. It's another one of those less touristy destinations that few outsiders visit, but it won't be like that for long, because as I'll be showing you, there's a whole lot of stuff that makes it one of the best islands in the region to spend some time on. I'll then be heading to Ikaria, the land of the long-lived. It's a beautiful slice of the northern Aegean, just 10 nautical miles from the better-known island of Samos. But before making waves to our next stop, there's still some fun to be had here.